Let me tell you about the time I got locked out of my apartment in nothing but my pajamas. It's a tale of bad luck, bad timing, and the kind of embarrassment you only see in rom-coms. But this time, I was the main character. It was a lazy Saturday morning. I just rolled out of bed, still half asleep, wearing my favourite pajama shorts and an oversized hoodie that's seen better days. You know, the kind of outfit you wear when you're sure no one will see you. My hair was in a messy bun that leaned more toward messy than bun. But it was fine. I was just grabbing the mail. 2 seconds tops. I grabbed the stack of envelopes and headed back toward my door. That's when I heard it. The dreaded sound of my apartment door clicking shut behind me. My stomach dropped. I turned the handle, hoping for a miracle. But nope. Locked. Totally. Completely locked. I stood there in disbelief for a moment, barefoot and clutching my junk mail like it was a lifeline. My phone on the kitchen counter, right next to my keys. I was officially stranded in my hallway with no way in and no dignity to speak of. My building doesn't have a front desk on weekends, so calling for help wasn't an option. My only hope was to knock on my neighbour's door. Unfortunately, my neighbour is an older woman named Mrs. Thompson who loves to gossip. Great. When she opened the door, her eyes lit up like she'd just won the lottery. "Oh dear, locked out?" she said in that tone that's equal parts pity and delight. I nodded, trying to look as nonchalant as possible. "Happens to the best of us," she said, smirking. I forced a laugh and asked if I could borrow her phone to call a locksmith. She handed it over, but not before giving me the full rundown on how kids these days never remember their keys. "Thanks, Mrs. Thompson. Super helpful." The locksmith said it would be at least an hour before he could get there. An hour! In my pajamas! Mrs. Thompson kindly offered to let me wait in her apartment, but I'd rather sit in the hallway than spend an hour listening to her critique the entire building. So there I was, sitting cross-legged on the floor, staring at the ceiling and wishing for a time machine, when my cute neighbour from down the hall walked by. You know the one. Tall, dark hair, smile that could melt glaciers. Yeah, him. He stopped and looked at me, clearly trying not to laugh. "Locked out?" he asked. I nodded, trying to play it cool, and said, "Yep, just testing out the hallway seating. 5 stars. Highly recommend." He chuckled, which was great, but then he walked away, which was less great. Not exactly the meet-cute I'd imagined. Finally, after what felt like forever, the locksmith arrived. He looked at me, grinned, and said, "Locked out in your PJs, huh?" Happens all the time. I just nodded because, honestly, what else could I say? At that point, I just wanted back into my apartment. As soon as the door opened, I thanked him, rushed inside, and vowed never to leave my apartment without my keys again. I also bought one of those little key holders to hang by the door. It's shaped like a pineapple, because apparently I'm that person now. Moral of the story is check your pockets before stepping out, even if it's just for a second. And maybe, just maybe, upgrade your pajama game. You never know who you'll run into.